What could have been awesome if people hadn't ruined it? Chat roulette. Could have been so awesome to just randomly chat with someone in another country, but people had to ruin it by just having on it all the time. After scrolling through, the consensus seems to be everything we touch. Meta keywords on websites used to be a good way to tell search engines what your website is about until lots of websites started keyword stuffing and adding tons of unrelated keywords to show up in more searches, so now most search engines just ignore them. Climbing Mount Everest. It used to be a huge accomplishment, and nowadays people hire Nepali people to take all their stuff and make their way up easy and comfortable. There is also a huge amount of trash and a queue at the very top. The History Channel, TLC, Discovery, etc. used to be such great education tools and put out great content. Now, it's saturated with reality TV shows that are on all the time. Social media. It seems like it would be a great way to meet people, share ideas, and learn. Instead, people take great joy in trolling, scamming, and deliberately spreading crap. Flying drones as a hobby. I'm scared to fly my race quad in my local park now. Had a Nerf fight for my birthday, and one of my friends brought a modded Nerf Mega. The YouTube comment section could have been a place for insightful discussion. The Great Barrier Reef was, and still is, awesome. Unfortunately, Australia and the world have likely doomed it. Random adults helping random kids was ruined by pedophiles and kidnappers. I'd like to help this kid, but they might think I'm a creeper, so I'll just stay away. Stranger danger after all. Edit. Also, I guess same thing applies to men legit wanting to help women out without any expectations whatsoever. We had a common area where anyone who needed it could let their animals graze, but then wealthy folks with a lot of land and livestock would descend on it en masse, even though they didn't need it, and ruined it. It's a tragedy. Used to be TV news was commercial free, so it was considered a reasonably reliable source of information. Once they introduced the advertising supported 24-hour news cycle, they all had to compete for the most sensationalist stories, hooking the most people instead of giving actual news. The mountain lake where my parents had a summer cabin and dock for fishing and swimming. It used to be pristine and peaceful, the smell of pine trees in the breeze and abundant fish. Now, as I once mentioned, the trees have been cut down, the water is polluted with oil and gas from roaring motorboat engines, and the fish are gone. Kids being able to play and wander outside all day on their own without constant supervision. Oh, and the word daddy. Duluth Trading Co. Satisfaction Guarantee. If a product fails soon after purchase, send it back. If you use the product and it wears out, be a mensch and know that you got a high quality product that served you well, and don't cheat and say you're not satisfied like a punk. Gender reveal parties. Should have just been a cute way to let people know if you're having a boy or a girl, but now people go to ridiculous lengths for their parties. The worst I've heard about was a couple that decided to set off an appropriately colored explosion and ended up starting a giant wildfire. Return policies. There were a lot of places, like REI and LL Bean, that had great return policies. However, people abusing them eventually led to the companies making them stricter. Self-checkout machines. In theory, it should be a faster way to make your purchases. In practicality, it's a bloated mess of a system. The system gives you unreasonable errors. Coupons and discounts often require staff interaction. People with too many groceries, or who can't use the system, slow it all down to a crawl. At this point, any kind of queue for those machines has me searching for staff to ring through my purchases instead. Limericks. It was a vaccine for Lyme disease, but had the unfortunate timing of coming out when the anti-vaccine hysteria started. Where I'm in the Northeast, 1 in 3 ticks carry the disease, and if not caught early can cause serious health risk for the rest of your life. If I won one of those insane lotteries like $1 billion, I would try to revive it. Or if every Reddit person sent me $0.50, I would try to get it funded. California. It was really nice in my teens and in my 20s, but now it takes 3 hours to get home, and if you want to go to the mall, leave 30 minutes early cause that's how long it takes to find parking. using headsets to talk to people while playing a game. Then everyone brought their vulgarity and get good to it. If we could have chilled out, it would be a fun way to meet new people who share an interest. Medication. All these executives talk about saving the world, or how poor little Timmy can't do ABC. Well, maybe he could, if the costs of insulin or anti-cancer meds weren't sky high. Be a hero and save lives. Stop putting profits over people. The Concorde plane. The crash was caused by another plane, but it got so much bad press that people wouldn't fly it, forcing it go oob. The news. Used to be a public service in the US. When TV was delivered over radio waves, the government let networks use the best frequency for video and audio in exchange for 1 hour of public service of news without excessive ads. Ruined that. Now we just have a grab for attention for ratings, thus ad sales. No news, just entertainment. The Zune, and more importantly the service. If you paid $10 or $15 a month, you got access to any song and got to download and buy 15 songs a month. So if you stopped using it, you kept your music. My hometown. It was a smaller tourist trap sort of town when I was younger, especially where I lived, but once people started talking about our amazing food, sunset cliffs, and all of our amusement parks on social media, it blew up. Now after a sunset, people use my street as a highway to get back to their hotels and the easier to access beaches. On top of that, our record for the number of people falling off of the cliffs down the street in one day is 3. The amount of people that have died trying to take cute selfies is way too high. Also got if only some people could write. I've seen fan fictions written by a 12-year-old that had more thought out in. The body acceptance movement. It's somehow morphed into a screw skinny people and my doctor can't tell me my weight is dangerous for my health, and just all around kinda negative thing. Public toilets. I mean, how hard can it be to just sit down while your ass and go away? No, some of these have the goddamn urge to on walls, the floor, or even the toilet seat. Others need to piss everywhere. Nobody flushes the toilet and some think they have to write some on the walls. Universities. Getting into uni and getting a degree used to be such an achievement. Now a company will barely give you the time of day if you don't have a degree, and universities are becoming industrial estates that are weeding out unprofitable degrees, i.e., humanities and arts mostly, so their statistics look better and they get more funding from the government and companies investing in them. Major ice cream brands came up with a genius way of sealing their containers. The container is filled with liquid ice cream, then flipped upside down and frozen, creating a natural seal. No plastic necessary, until someone decided to start licking them in the stores. Airports. Yes, I tried hard to search for this before saying it, but it seems no one has said it. I used to enjoy and adore the idea of visiting airports. Now, from what I have learned, between the increased airport security and how harsh some of it has become, combined with the absurdity of being disallowed from carrying so much as a damn water bottle, I avoid airports at all costs, all to my own misfortune of this type. We need some kind of security, naturally. This means I'm okay with airport security. Just not the hell it has become. Asking the public to name something. It used to mean something. People picked a name that made sense, that resonated with people. That's how Pluto got its name. Now it's all in service of a joke. And if you point that out, you're labeled a party McPoopy face. Yes, I made the joke. I'm not giving you the satisfaction. Any outdoor experience. Camping, hiking, trail riding. There is a majority jerk factor now. From littering to ATVs blasting off trail and general vandalism. There feels like there is no peaceful places left. The hitchhiking robot, Hitchbot, could have made its way across the continent and people from all over could share the experience of seeing this cute robot in their area. It successfully hitchhiked across Canada, but was decapitated and ripped apart 2 weeks after entering the US. The internet. The political process. Food. Thanks companies. The ability to retire. The History Channel. Scooters. My marriage. Rick and Morty. The show was a clever sci-fi deconstruction that riffed on a ton of classic horror, sci-fi, and fantasy tropes. It threw in some dark comedy and dramatic moments here and there, but always fell back into the wacky sci-fi hijinks. Now the fans are incredibly toxic and obsessive about how deep and philosophical it is, and the show seems to be leaning into it. The last season just didn't hook me. It went from obvious attempts at generating memes to bleak melodrama that feels like it was written by a teenager who just discovered a philosophy textbook. Mini disc. Then some jerk had the bright idea of moving away from CDs altogether. I still feel bad for the people who put all the hard work into getting that up and going, just for new technology to take a massive dump on their faces like a year or so later. I was young when this happened, so my memory and facts might not line up 100%. Dave Matthews Band. I had always stayed away cause I was the same way with, only douchebags listen to Dave Matthews. My sister had an extra ticket back in like 2015 or 2016, and I went with her cause I wasn't doing anything that night. Turns out they're king awesome musicians, but everyone just goes and spends the whole time FaceTiming people or calling people to tell them, OMG we are at Dave Matthews Band concert. I feel like only a few people there were actually enjoying the music, and most people were just there to say they were there and left early. But like I said, incredible musicians. Dockless bike share. It sure was great to rent a bike for a short trip without having to know exactly what docks were near your outset and destination. But people parked the bikes like holes, so no one is allowed to have them now. Just escooters and a few e-bikes if you're lucky. My Little Pony. Friendship is magic. Every fandom has its fair share of sour apples, but there are people who do weird things like sexualize the characters and act kinda weird in general. It's because of those people that the fandom gets such a bad reputation. Nuclear is a great power, and the technology has indeed been improving in the time while the public hated on it. Nuclear can handle a huge amount of baseload, filling all the gaps in current renewables, and generate less waste than almost anything. Sure, there are a couple uninhabited caves we need to post warning signs around for a few lifetimes, but that's so much better than the ecological disaster dust, which includes radiation, that coal plants sprinkle over the countryside every damn day. Bachelor/bachelorette parties. It should be just a fun little get together with your friends in preparation for an exciting and life-changing event, but hiring strippers and involving drugs and alcohol has turned it into something really trashy. It's really sad. Facebook. It was fun 10 years ago when we were all connecting up with old friends, talking about what we were doing, and playing Farmville. Don't scoff, you know it was fun when you first played it. Now it's, well, you know, political memes and videos and weird telepathic ads and the worst qualities of a billion people, all ramped up to 11. And that's just the problems regular people had a hand in creating. That's not getting into the security concerns. Burning Man. What used to be a ridiculous collection of unique people doing weird in a desert has become partially a corporate retreat, partially a place for rich people to get weird, and majorly a safe space for people to act out their midlife crisis. That being said, I can't seem to stop going back. My night tonight. Me and my friends were going to go to a cocktail making class which was fundraising for a school camp. A cool idea, I thought, as did many others. I was really looking forward to it. Well, due to people being sensitive and complaining a lot, the event got cancelled. Anything with toxic fanbase or gatekeepers, even things I really like I can't help but start to dislike only because people behave a certain way towards it. The Office is an example. I watched it a long time ago and really liked it, and now I can't help but cringe when people use it to define themselves or to feel quirky. I guess it's sort of petty, but I don't know, just feels bad, man.